Hello there and welcome to Avalon. Today we're doing solstice energy for earth signs, and we'll do current energy guidance, and then outcome as well. Okay, so we're going to use the traditional Rider-Waite tarot here, and I've already shuffled, but I'm going to do a couple more. Okay. So from what I got before turning on the camera, there's definitely been a period of mental anguish that's been going on, but I do believe that is coming to an end. May have meant a lot of sleepless nights, worries, etc. But I believe that's coming to an end, and that makes a lot of sense because it's sort of dark energy moving into light. And that's where we are right now. That's a solstice. Solstice is the longest day of the year, so that is the most sun out of all days of the year, which is the most light, and you can see where I'm going with that. All right. We just had the Ace of Swords and the Page of Cups come out, but I have to say I wasn't really focused, so I'm going to put them back and see if they come out again. So let's go. Earth signs, current energy during this solstice. Okay, got the Page of Pentacles. It's a very auspicious card. I'm going to put that down and I'll go through what that actually means once I have a few cards for the current energy. Alright, so some more current energy for earth signs during... Ooh, too many cards. Alright. Alright, we got the Two of Pentacles. So, makes sense. We got a lot of earth energy. You guys might be really feeling in your element. As Pentacles are the element of earth. Okay? They're also the realm of health and finances. Sorry, I'm in a kind of awkward position for my knees right now. Alright, let's get another current energy for earth signs during the solstice. Current energy for earth signs. God, universe, love, and light. Can we please get some current energy for earth signs during this solstice? Current energy for earth signs. Heh! So we just got 3 cards that came up together, all 3 of which have already come up. So the Knight of Cups came up in the pre-read. The Ace of Swords and the Page of Cups came up just a moment ago, as you saw. Okay. I'm going to read these ones together as a particular energy. Actually, let's do that reverse. All right. Okay. So yeah, what I'm getting right now certainly is that you guys are feeling very much in your element. You've made a change of late in the physical realm, okay, whether that has to do with finances, health, just your 3D life, you know, the relationships and situations you find yourself in your 3D life. So the page is the first step from out of the 1 through 10 of each of the suits. Okay, so pages always represent change, to like an up leveling, and they always represent also messengers. They are messengers. Typically pages, that's what they did. So it might be that you're receiving messages during this time about changes that are happening in your physical realm. They might not be huge changes, but they'll definitely be movement forward, okay? Yes. All right, moving on to the Page or sorry, the Two of Pentacles. This has to refers to balance. You're attempting to balance energies right now, and I actually think it's likely that you've been juggling things, but I think you're succeeding at that. You might feel like you haven't really necessarily been able to find your center lately. Like it's always been you're dealing with one thing, and then as soon as you're not dealing with that anymore, you're dealing with something else. That your hands are full. And this might mean that things have been turbulent. They might have been turbulent emotionally as well. As you can see the quite large waves of water in the background, making it a little bit difficult for this on this journey. Okay, especially that boat there I see on that journey. All right. But having said that, there's blue sky all around you, and it seems like it's working out pretty well. I feel like the message that you got in the physical might have to do with your sovereignty. I have a feeling that, like, you got a message from someone in your life letting that confirmed for you that you are no longer kind of courted to somebody that you don't want to be courted to, like independence, sovereignty. That's what I'm getting. So maybe that someone said something to you that made your mind go, oh wow, this is who this person is, and that for you freed you from them. Or it may have been a message saying like a positive message, you know, somebody you really respected, admire, told you that, like you know, they really admire your work, or that, like, you know, the risks you take, or whatever you might want to call it. Okay. It's possible that comment threw you a bit off balance as well. But from what I see, you're juggling. You are managing to juggle it. I do recommend tempering though, right? So like not, if you find this one particular thing that's taking up all your time is taking up all your time, put it down for a few minutes. Pick this up a little bit, you know, temper each one, right? So that your life isn't solely this or solely this, right? You're trying to balance them out. Okay. All right. So now we have this trio of players here, the Knight of Cups reversed, the Ace of Swords, and the Page of Cups. All right. So cups refer to emotions, water, love. Excuse me. Emotions, water, love, etc. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So okay. So in the pre-read, the Knight of Cups actually came up upright when it comes to the outcome. So when it's coming up upside down or reversed in the current energy, my understanding is that this is an energy, this group right here, that will be fixed. It'll be transmuted through this solstice, okay? So what I'm saying is that the Knight of Cups will be righted, okay? In reverse, the Knight of Cups speaks of stagnation in the realm of emotions or love. It can also speak of sort of overly romantic, overly high-flying, how do I say that? What is the word? You know, when your emotions, you kind of get carried away with flights of fancy when it comes to love or your emotions, okay? And that, of course, getting carried away in that way can halt forward movement, okay? So horses, especially the knights here, have to do with forward movement. But we have it in reverse, which can either mean you're going backwards or you're staying put. So I'm going to say you're staying put for the moment, in terms, possibly because of kind of getting carried away. That was the phrase I was looking for, getting carried away with your emotions, which is kind of funny because you think of it, your emotions are kind of being carried away here. The Ace of Swords has to do with a gift of truth, a mental gift, a gift of communication from the universe, okay? Now, we were just talking about getting a gift of communication in the page, okay? And I think that's what that was. Okay? So, then we have this, the Page of Cups, right? Which is something that's been coming up for all the signs multiple times. Again, has to do with change from the regular cycles of love, of spirituality. Cups have to do also with spirituality as well. This card in particular has to do with reconnecting with your spirituality, with your higher self, with your intuition. Water also has to do with intuition, okay? So you can see here that the page is actually speaking. He's speaking, communication again, speaking to his emotions and his intuition. The fish represents spirituality and intuition, okay? All right, so what I'm getting is that you received message of in your physical world, you know, a physical message from somebody that kind of threw you into not a tailspin by any means, but like a sort of recorrect energy. Like you had to like rebalance out, like they threw you off, and then you had to kind of balance it out, right? Get that you're like I just said, a bit of being carried away by your emotions, possibly because you're not actually tuning into the real emotions. You're kind of letting yourself get whipped up by somebody else instead of tuning into your intuition, and knowing whether or not this person, what they said, should affect you this much. Are they being truthful? Is it something you really need to pay attention to? Is it something you should brush off? You don't know. So that's that truth, that piece of information, that communication, all right, that's going on. It's a communication stuck between, you know, this stagnant energy and connecting in with yourself. So what I'm seeing it as, like, this piece of information that's kind of throwing you off balance a bit needed to come in order for you to stop this stagnation in terms of connecting with your intuition or love. It can do with love, but my readings are general unless otherwise stated. So this information, this gift of information from the universe had to come in to unstagnate this energy, basically right itself by the end of the solstice portal energy. And all of that happened to get you to listen to yourself, to your own intuition. Okay? So I already went way over on guidance, or not guidance, but current energies. Can we get some guidance, please, for guidance for earth signs during the solstice and dealing with this, like, piece of information they've gotten that's kind of thrown them off balance, but is ultimately for the better to help them tune in. So what kind of guidance can we get for signs here? Okay, 7 of Swords. Some more guidance for earth signs during this solstice. Okay, one more. So we got the 7 of Swords, the 9 of Swords, and the Five of Pentacles. All right. Now, these are quite heavy energies. I'm not going to lie. But this is the guidance. So it's kind of telling you what to be aware of, what to be, what to avoid, really, when you're dealing with these energies, what to avoid, okay? So there's a lot of sword energy here, a lot of communication, the mind. Yeah, okay. So the seven, seven has to do with a lot of different things in spirituality, but this card, it has to do with a bit of like confusion. So you'll see here that this person has stolen 5 out of 7 swords. For the idea is basically acting frantically for no good reason. You know, like if you're going to steal swords, why wouldn't you take all of them, and or just one? You know, like why you clearly took more than you needed, but for what good reason? And you left a couple behind. It's kind of, I think of it as frantic, acting frantically because you're in a very uncomfortable emotion or feeling. I think that maybe for some of you, this issue of sovereignty, the message that somebody gave you about your sovereignty, I think that it's important that what they're saying in terms of guidance is let that sovereignty be pure, okay? So when you're, it might be hard to not be somewhat frantic in your thoughts, and we all have, you know, frantic thoughts that lead us down paths we don't really want to go in the actual physical. But remember that where the swords connect the mental and the physical is communication. Okay, so basically, try not, this person who came and gave you this message, try not to be unnecessary in your communication. Oh, my boyfriend just came and brought me some breakfast. That's so sweet. To not, often we say things we don't mean because we are so put off, okay, by something someone said or how true it is, and we don't want to realize it. So be careful that you don't say things you don't mean. Be careful you don't pick up swords you don't need, right? Again, we have this 9 of Swords energy, which came up several times in the pre-read. And again, I think it is more of a past energy, something that is coming out of right now. But I do think that it would be easy to allow the words of this person to throw you off balance, okay? And sometimes the balance, being thrown off balance, can lead some people into these sort of nightmarish tailspins where they're up all night. This card literally can mean insomnia. You see all the swords there. That's all that mental energy literally weighing them down, okay? That darkness behind them. So it's anguish. It's mental anguish, all right? But it's also unrealistic fears, like fears that aren't real. So there's a lot of unnecessary energy here saying, like, don't communicate unnecessarily because you might say something you don't mean. Just be careful about that. And then again, we've got a bit of unnecessary energy. It's unnecessary worries and fears, right? Just know that those fears that are being brought up, that, you know, that anger you have to respond verbally to this person, you don't have to give in to them. You don't have to. You can acknowledge that they're part of how you're feeling without actually spending a whole night not being able to sleep or getting into a big screaming match with somebody. Okay. The last for guidance here we have the 5 of Pentacles. Again, the Pentacles is the sign of Earth, which is you guys. The 5s have to do with change, okay? They can also have to do with conflict and chaos. This card in particular often has to do with being left out in the cold, okay? The idea is that there are lights on inside, but the energy is of being left out in the cold despite being needy, okay? Despite needing to be let in, all right? The lesson of this card in the tarot often has to do with coming to the understanding that you're actually not alone, right? We all have the illusion of separation in this on earth, okay? We incarnate, we have no idea where we came from, who we are, what our abilities are, any of it. And we feel separate. We feel separate from each other. We feel separate from Source, from God, from all of that. And this card is about that difficult energy you go through in order to learn that lesson, that in fact, you are not alone. Not only are you not alone sometimes, you're always connected. You're always connected to God, Source, and your loved ones, right? So it's about, again, not getting into that extreme energy, not letting that truth, the truth that's coming in from the universe, not letting that truth throw you into this extreme, right? The extreme, that juggling of the extreme of feeling separate. Keep in mind during this time, during the solstice, that no matter how dark, no matter how alone, no matter how in pain, because it's also the card to me of physical pain, you can see the crutches. No matter how in pain you are, keep in mind that you are always connected, and that pain has a purpose, and it is actually to bring you out of pain, funnily enough, okay? And into light, of course. All right, we've got a bit of bottom of the deck energy here with the Three of Cups, which can mean celebration. It can mean sort of a trinity of emotions. It can also be, it's been a card that's sort of been like the third energy, which can be biblical, but it can also be like karmic type, like say there's you and a partner and then a third person causing issues or a third person causing lessons, whatever the case might be, sort of the karmic energy, all right? And so that's kind of what I've been getting anyway across about this truth coming in that's whipped you up, but for a good reason, is to, focus on the celebration that's coming, not on the conflict that's bringing about a change that will bring about the celebration, okay? Now, let's do outcome. God, universe, love, and light, guides, and angels. Can we please? Sorry, just reorganizing here. Can we please get some outcome cards for earth signs during this solstice? Outcome for these energies we've been talking about today, God. Outcome, please. Outcome, please, God. Okay. Outcome for earth signs during this solstice. Outcome of these energies for the earth signs during this solstice. So we got a card we already got, which is the same as this card. So these are sort of tarot oracle cards, and these are tarot. So they correspond to one another. So I'm not seeing this as like the same energy. Like I saw this as very much like you were getting whipped up and trying to balance what was going on. That's not what I see here. What I see here is a certain amount of patience that's required, obviously, with the waiting game. But I see a heart healing. I see connection. And this, like, what do I call that energy? It's like, well, it's a circle, obviously, but it's I'm not sure how to explain that. I'm going to have to try in a moment here. Okay. So we got a major arcana here, which is the fertility or the Empress card. All right. And what I'm seeing here, the Empress is all about many different things, but she is all four of the queens rolled into one. All right. She is the grand Mac Mama instead of Mac Daddy of the tarot, and she definitely comes from the heart space. All right. And I'm seeing this big heart opening, heart healing going on. That seeing a lot of higher mind stuff, and also interestingly a lot of tree symbolism that I've never noticed in this card before. This growth, you'll see here the hair of the Empress kind of extends out into these tree branches that are blooming, right? This beautiful green heart chakra color. And then here you'll see in the waiting game as well, we've got that similar tree growth happening. All right, there's some serious growth happening. It's taking some time, and it's going to require patience and some grace, and also it's going to be bringing in a reliability, a reliable energy, an energy that is here to stay, so that you can expect that the Empress energy, this divine feminine energy, is coming in, and it's not just coming in to influence you once and leave, it is coming in to stay, okay? Here we have emotional loss, and in the tarot this relates to the Five of Cups, which traditionally is kind of, there's 2 cups that have fallen over and are empty, and 3 still standing, and the idea is that, we kind of often focus on what we've lost, the energy of focusing on what you've lost instead of focusing on what you still have right in front of you, right? But here what I'm actually getting is something very different. I know it says emotional loss, but what I'm understanding is that a little bit of emotional loss needs to take place in order for this big heart healing, okay? Coming out of the heart space here, you see this shell, sort of conch shell shape, which is actually relates to the Fibonacci sequence in the golden ratio, okay? These are these perfect set of numbers that describe a perfect ratio that exists everywhere, not everywhere, but so many places all throughout nature and music and various places. And the human body, the inner ear looks like this, okay? All right, so what I'm getting from that actually is to be listening to your heart, which sounds pretty lame, but it's what I'm getting. All right, and then these last 2 came out together in terms of outcome. This came out actually in the pre-read as well. It's choose wisely. So normally this is the 7 of Cups, another Cups energy, and again, more that green color, that heart healing, and it's all about, can be about confusion. It can absolutely be about confusion, not being sure which cup to choose, okay? Do you choose the spiritual cup? Do you choose the fire cup? Do you choose the, it goes on. So it's asking you throughout all of this, what's been asked of you is to pay attention to your intuition, okay? Pay attention to that cup. And okay, so choose wisely. Pay attention to which cup? The cup with your intuition in it. The cup with your heart cup, okay? That's what's important here. And that's what you're going to be doing. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of you wading, and I mean like wading through the water, not W-A-I-T, wading through this energy. And now I also mean waiting through this energy, because it might be really painful, and I know that it is, and it's going to be really tempting to get stuck in this like frantic, over imaginative, or maybe even over dramatic energy, okay? But if you can keep yourself in this graceful place, this heart healing place, stay tuned into your emotional, your heart space, okay? You're going to be choosing wisely, and it will only be a matter of time before these leaves bloom on this tree here, okay? And you can think of that as you. You are the earth signs, okay? So this is a big blooming, essentially, for earth signs, the solstice, which makes a lot of sense. The solstice is all about coming from winter, spring energies into summer energies, you know? And I'm getting that this is a time that's going to be helping firmly plant you on solid ground, all right? None of these shifting sands, all right? I know it's the same card, but they're very different visuals, okay? These are sort of shifting waters you're trying to stand on versus solid physical ground, which is something that you guys are used to. It's it's what you know, all right? And that's being rooted. There you go. Being rooted is going to help you, okay? All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I really hope that you tune in again and join me here in Avalon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.